Welcome to College Launch. I'm Mary Roberts, and I'm passionate about the subject of transition, and especially the big one that students make when they move from home to college. Today, we have Mike Yip here, a parent of a college-bound student, and we're going to talk about the transition his son is making. But first, Mike, you're an independent filmmaker, and usually you're on the other side of the camera.
Yes, I'm not particularly comfortable on this side under the lights, so I'll do my best, though.
I appreciate that you're here. So your son will soon move to California to study physics and meteorology at San Jose State. Why did he choose a California school?
Well, my son Jackson didn't specifically look for a California school. He was looking for the best program that fit what he thought he wanted academically. He wasn't so concerned with how the living conditions were, although obviously that plays into it. But he's familiar with the San Francisco Bay Area, where San Jose State is located. He's spent quite a bit of time out there because my family is all in the Bay Area, and I grew up there. So I think he likes the lifestyle. He knows enough about it. He likes the climate. He liked the school. He met a number of professors in the program at San Jose State that just wowed him. And I think that's what sold him on the school.
It's wonderful that he knows what he wants, because many students aren't sure at all. In fact, some students change their major several times as an undergraduate. How is your son spending his summer?
My son got recruited. He's a Boy Scout, and he's actually finishing up his Eagle rank right now. And he was recruited to work at the scout camp that he has spent his career going to up in New Hampshire. So he's now a counselor and guide at the Griswold Scout Reservation up in New Hampshire. So.
And did you just visit him there?
Yes, I visited him last weekend. So he was in his element. He was very happy.
Oh. Have you noticed any changes in your son since he graduated from high school?
The major change has been he's actually more relaxed, because towards the end of the senior year, all these different events come sort of crashing together because there's so much he had to get done for just to graduate, and then the actual commencement ceremony and relatives and friends coming and that sort of thing. So he was quite busy that last month of school, and I think he was just relieved to have finished and graduated and ready to move on to the next thing.
That's great. Well, when will he leave for college?
He's planning to, we're actually planning to leave beginning of August. So his classes begin August 19th is the term beginning. So a little bit early, but I think there are many schools that start that early in August now. So he'll be heading out beginning of August.
And I understand that eventually you'll be moving to California.
Yeah.
So not only is he packing his bags to move to campus, but you're packing up your household.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a big transition for both of us. Jackson has had to fly out there for orientation, so he actually already took quite a bit of his personal belongings out when he visited and left them with my brother. So he's already started the transition. He came back to do his work up at Scout Camp, and then in August we'll be doing the actual physical transition, so we go out there.
Getting ready to blast off.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned he went out to an orientation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we might back up
Mm-hmm.
to his senior year, and I'm wondering if his high school had any sort of transition program for the seniors.
Not that I know of that was specifically for college, except to prepare him academically, to make sure he had the academic prep for college level work, but not any sort of, I think, psychological or social way, because I think that is very experiential. There's almost no way to prepare someone for that big of a shift. So I don't recall him telling me about any sort of orientation towards college, I think that happened more at the college campus itself. So,
Well, I asked you about an orientation or transition program at high school because more and more high schools are recognizing that it is important to provide some sort of transition information to their students before they leave high school. It wasn't provided to either of my children, so it's a fairly new thing. So my children too had their first transition experience when they went to an orientation like Jackson did at San Jose State. Did he talk to you about this orientation? Are you aware of what he did there?
he didn't give me many specifics. He told me in general what they were doing. He did. One of the first things they did was he got his school ID, right, so first off, and they gave him a tour of some of the campus resources like the bookstore, where you get certain services, that sort of thing. I think they showed him around the dorms. They hadn't assigned him a dorm room, but I think they showed him what a typical dorm room looks like. There was a lot of meeting of current students, and I think mostly they talked about, where do you go for what at the school in terms of services and resources. So that was the first day. The second day was about registering for classes. So they talked about advisement, what are you going to do for your academic career, how should you think about it, and he had already sort of a roadmap of what courses he needed to take each semester for the whole 4 years, because he wanted to study meteorology, so it's fairly rigorous and are locked down every semester. So he didn't have a whole lot of choices. There's only a few choices, so he registered what he needed to register for. So
I think it's great that they offer these orientation programs at the beginning of the summer, where students can learn to find their way around and see where they might be living, meet some of their fellow students, and register for their classes. Then they go home with a picture in their mind of what it will be like. Now, your son will be away from home, and so what are you looking forward to about him being at college?
what I'm looking forward to is seeing how he does in school. Actually, I think this will be fun. This will be very interesting. He's a fairly independent guy. I mean, he's very resourceful. He's done a lot of things on his own, but he hasn't lived away from home for long periods of time. He'll be away for a week here or there, but this will be interesting to see how he adjusts and how he does with his schoolwork. So that'll be fun. And then I get to spend more time doing my things. So.
Well, do you have any concerns about him going out into the world in this way?
The greatest concern I have is for him to recognize when he needs help, because he tends to, as I say, he's very resourceful, pretty well self-driven, but he doesn't always recognize when he needs help. So the thing I hope he is able to do is when he needs, tutoring help or a mentor or something, to actually go seek that out. So, and I'll be near enough and probably be in contact with him enough to be asking how he's doing, so I can encourage him to reach out for whatever he needs.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you bring up, because having had two children in college, I know, and they know, that the help is there. But there's so many distractions, particularly that first semester. They have to be motivated to ask for the help. And all too often, too many students get caught up in the social life and then find at the end of their first semester that they're on academic probation because they didn't go and seek out that help. Mm-hmm. So it is a really important thing to do. Now he's going to live in a residence hall. Mm-hmm. Do you have any sense of how living in a dorm will be different from living at home?
Much less space.
Yes.
So immediately I think that's going to be a shock to him, how little space he has. And I've already talked to him about, just take the essentials. And, he can leave other stuff at my brother's or at, other relatives who live in the Bay Area. So he doesn't have to have all his gear at school in his room. He's a bicyclist. He's a climber. He loves to camp and backpack, and so he's got a lot of different kinds of outdoor gear. But obviously, he's not going to be able to take that to school. So he's going to want some of it, I know. But I've lived in dorms, and I know how small they are and what little you can bring. So that'll be a shock for him.
Well, he's very lucky to have a place to store all of his gear.
Yeah. So,
not have to stuff it into that tiny space.
Yeah. So.
What will you miss most when he moves to college?
I think the thing I'll miss most is being able to just talk to him sort of on a daily basis about what he's up to and what he's thinking about with his school work and how he's finding his academics, subject matter, because he does get excited about what he's learning, and I love sharing that. So I'll miss that on a daily basis. But hopefully, like I said, we'll be on the phone enough where we can talk, but it won't be the same, I know.
Yeah. I imagine he's going to miss that too. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, what plans do you have for starting a new chapter of your life?
I think probably trying to seek out new work, trying to be busier, and I'll be in a new town, but not totally unfamiliar. So I'm trying to branch out and doing my media production work both in the Boston area and also in the San Francisco Bay Area. So that'll be fun, to be meeting new people and trying to do new things. So that'll be interesting and fun.
And I think that's an important tip for parents of college students. They're ending a phase of life that they've known for a very long time. Having this child at home, being able to engage with them. And it's important to focus on the opportunities that the students will be having at their college, and also the opportunities that you and other parents will have to try some new things and enjoy this new phase of life.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be that empty nest feel, I think. It's the sudden change. So but I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I can remember in the early months that my daughter left for college. She was the youngest, walking into her bedroom at home, and it was a pretty strange feeling.
Yeah.
It took a while to adjust.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for Jackson. It's just he's got so many things to look forward and to explore. So I think it's going to be great to watch him and see how he does.
Yeah, it sure sounds that way. He knows what he wants to study.
For now, he does.
Yeah,
but I also
that can change.
Yeah, well, I also made the point that nothing's written in stone. If he decides he finds something else a little more interesting, explore it. He should have that freedom. So.
I think that's wonderful that you've had that conversation with him, so he doesn't feel obligated to stick with something that he thinks is right now. He'll be able to change when he finds something else, if and when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, and thank you for inviting me.
I'm Mary Roberts of College Launch, and thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to tuning in with you the next time.